Episode 130 of Australia's #1 marketing show. In this episode, Robert Gerrish, the co-founder of Flying Solo, shares exactly how they built a community of 56,000 solopreneurs.
Welcome to the Small Business Big Marketing Show, where successful small business owners share their secrets to take your marketing to the next level. Now here's your host, Tim Reid.
G'day everyone, and welcome back to episode 130 of Australia's #1 marketing show. I'm your host, Timbo Reid, but much more importantly, you are a motivated small business owner. You have to be, because you're listening to this show. You want to up your marketing ante, and we are brought to you by the very good folk at netregistry.com.au who help get your business sorted online. They've got a very cool competition happening on my Facebook page at the moment, which I'll tell you about in a minute. And also a very, very warm welcome to everyone in the Flying Solo community. Particularly warm today, and I'll explain that in a minute. Now, thanks for the great feedback from last week's episode. Interesting episode where I interviewed Peter from Caboodle, financial service business financial advisor, just did the whole rebranding, renaming exercise and has nailed it. You know, as I said in that episode, it wasn't the biggest marketing you've ever seen, but she followed a tried and tested process that I talk about often, and she's just done a wonderful rebrand of her business. Used to be called the Delta Group, now called Caboodle Financial Services. Have a listen to episode 129. Thanks for the feedback. I have opened the Small Business Big Marketing Forum team. It is overdue, I know, but this is a place for us to all gather and sort out our marketing online, offline, everywhere, any aspect of your marketing. It's an opportunity to go in there, hang out with me and other motivated small business owners to get your marketing sorted. Now, listen, I've got to read one of my members who's joined immediately, a long-time listener. I won't say who it is because he's written the letter. I'm thinking possibly privately, but it's golden and it sums up exactly why I've done the forum and how you are going to benefit from the forum. If you want to go and join it, go to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and click on the forum button. You can see a little video I've created there that explains it all. But let me read this letter. Tim, from my short lap around in here, meaning in the forum, this is going to be awesome. I understand what you tried to do with the academy. Right idea, maybe wrong timing and wrong platform. That was a product that I put together with Luke about 2.5, 3 years ago, which, it was just wrong. You know, we live and learn. We all make mistakes. And the forum is now going to be a whole lot better than the academy ever was. But this, mate, he goes on to say, I'm back to the letter, but this, mate, you have nailed it. The market has been crying out for a product like this forum, where us time-poor business owners can come to ask, vent, seek support, and give it as freely with a bunch of like-minded people under your trusted guidance. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. It's exactly why I've put together the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. He goes on to say, I'll bet you find the numbers come faster than you think, and the members will do 90% of the hard yards for you. Now, that's interesting because putting a forum together isn't easy. The numbers, look, I hope they come quickly. I've priced it at $49 a month. So I've absolutely priced it to be affordable, yet to keep a quality of person in there who's just not looking for the freebies, you know. This is quality marketing discussion day in, day out. I'll be going in there, contributing, answering, stimulating marketing discussion. He goes on to say, played right, you will only have to hover and drop in when the nugget needs to be dropped. I'm going to be in there every day. I'm going to be dropping nuggets, contributing to conversations, just as everyone else will be over time. Thanks for having the stamina to keep trying till you got the concept right, for pricing it just right and having the courage to follow your dreams. It has been a dream of mine to build this small business, big marketing juggernaut. Is that a fair thing to say, juggernaut, into something where it is just a one-stop shop for motivated small business owners to come and up their marketing, their marketing ante. That's what it's all about. And the forum is part of that. My Spotlight product is part of that. The podcast is part of that. Everything I do is about helping you, the small business owner, with your marketing. He goes on to say, I wish you all the success you deserve with this. And yeah, you know I won't hold back with my bit if I feel I can give something of value. That is a wonderful letter from a very, very new member, one of the founding members of the forum. I encourage you to go and have a look, guys. Go to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and hit on the forum button. Watch the video. Hey, join for a month. It's $49. What have you got to lose? Lots of discussion, lots of training products in there that I've created over time, and I think you'll really enjoy it, and I think your business will benefit from it. Okay, what I will do over the course of the coming shows too, coming episodes, is share some of the discussions that happen in the forum. There's one in particular right now where one of the members has gone and shared a video. He's a graphic designer, and he went and did a press check for a client, and he videoed it, a 20-second video on his iPhone that he sent to the client via email and said, hey, I'm doing a press check. Hope you like it, hope you're motivated, excited about getting your brochures. That's a great little marketing idea in itself, and you're going to come across lots and lots of those if you join the forum. By the way, if you do join for the $49, it's yours for life. That price, $49 a month, you stay there, it's yours for life. The price will go up, but right now, that's what it is. Okay. Net Registry have got a Facebook competition, a competition on my Facebook. Go to facebook.com/small business big marketing. Post a funny marketing ad or experience or photo that you've seen in your travels, and you can win a $995 conference pass to an event that's happening in Melbourne in April. So go and check that out, and check Net Registry out for all your online marketing needs. All right, guys, today's guest. Now, I gave a very warm welcome to the Flying Solo community up the front of this episode, and for good reason. Today's guest is Robert Gerrish, one of the founders of the Flying Solo community. Now, for overseas listeners, go and check out flyingsolo.com.au. That's what Robert and his partners founded quite a number of years ago now, ahead of its time. Now Flying Solo has 56, I'm looking at the membership now, 56,337 members as of right now. And it's basically a place for people who work on their own, solopreneurs, to go and hang out. Lots of blog posts, they've even got a forum to discuss all aspects of being a solopreneur. They have events. It's a wonderful online community. And that's what I talk about with Robert today. One of the things that I really, I value Robert and Flying Solo's partnership greatly, because about 2.5 years ago, when this show was just in its infancy, they tapped us on the shoulder and said, hey, would you like to be the exclusive marketing podcast for the Flying Solo community, which at the time Luke and I absolutely jumped at. And ever since then, every episode that I produce gets posted to the Flying Solo community every week, which is absolutely fantastic. So what I love about this interview is it's all about building community. Spoke to Mia Friedman a few weeks ago about how she went about building community. Robert takes us behind the scenes of where the idea came from, where it all started, the courage that it took to kind of persevere to hit that 56,000 number. Like at some point there was one member, it's a bit like my forum. I'd love it if there were 56,000 members. I don't think there ever will be, but I think there is massive courage in persevering. I'll share my three marketing tips that I got from this interview after the interview. But look, I cherish the partnership. It's a great example of a joint venture. Flying Solo tapping this show on the shoulder and saying, hey, can we work together, is a great example of a joint venture. So have a think as you listen to this interview about what joint ventures exist out there to help grow and leverage your business. Enough from me. Robert Gerrish is a very giving guy, and he takes us right under the hood of Flying Solo. Here's Robert. Robert Gerrish, co-founder of Flying Solo. Welcome to Small Business Big Marketing.
Thank you so much, Tim. Pleasure to be with you.
And not before time, by the way. You've been a partner of this show for, I should have looked back, but it's at least 2 years.
I think it is. We're busy fellas, aren't we?
We are.
Yes. Anyway, look, I'm here now, so that's good.
And you've got a great voice for radio, by the way.
That's very kind.
I'm not a great head for radio either. That would have been rude. Hey, now just to make sure, just to be really clear, you're in the nude, aren't you?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Good. Me too. Now, that's awkward because now we have to explain, obviously, what that is.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about how you market your burgeoning community later on. But
Sure.
you did run a National Nude Day for people who work at home, of which I partook.
Yeah, we did, and look, it was a storming success. We run, and we're going to be running it every year now. So it's an annual event on the first Friday of summer.
Oh, of summer, is it?
First Friday of summer.
What a
yes.
clever idea.
Yes, and it's our wonderful editor, Jodie McLeod. Well, she's actually claiming it wasn't her idea. No one wants to own up to
Right.
it.
Oh, I'll take it.
No, it was definitely Jodie's idea. And we were looking for something that would just really resonate well with our community. And we thought, what's the one thing that people who are working by themselves, and particularly those that work from a home base, what makes us different? What can we do? And then we all thought, well, Jodie thought, hey, we can work without our clothes on. So we just kind of launched the idea, and it went nuts. It was brilliant. We had, I think, 2,500 people that pledged to be involved. We had 400 or 500 people sort of on the day that were posting the most wonderful and happily we had a sort of no dangly bits rule. So, but they were posting photos on our Facebook page, and it was just wonderful. In terms of just really worked superbly well to amuse our community, and it also caught the attention of the media, so we did very well with that. It was just great. So
could you quantify your media coverage? Because I imagine it would have been fairly significant.
Had front page of the Sydney Morning Herald, front page of the Melbourne Age. That was online. We had features sort of within the actual printed papers as well. We had 2 ABC radio interviews regionally.
Fantastic.
We had more than that. We had something.
I think the whole National Day thing as a marketing strategy, and I've spoken to Flip Shelton, who started National Porridge Day. Off the back of that, she then did a JV with National Tracky Dax Day, which helps kids in hospital who have to go into hospital. And I have had 2 or 3 listeners since those interviews and since National Nude Day contact me and say, thanks for alerting me to such a strategy, because not an easy one to get up, excuse the pun, but also it can be quite powerful.
Well, it can. I mean, look, I must admit, I sometimes tire of all these national days. I look at them, I think, oh my God, national. I've got a Letters Day. What is it today? But having now been the other side of it and actually, being involved in one, yes, I'd have to say it was really good for us. But I think it's crowded. There's only roughly 365, aren't there, days of the year? So
every year, almost. Yeah. Now, tell me, flying solo, last time I looked, 55,000 solopreneurs registered around Australia as part of your community. That's significant.
Yeah, 56,000 now, I think. So
wow.
Last week. Yes, look, it's pretty bloody good. We're very, very happy that we are connecting as well as we are. Look, we're not exactly turning into Facebook or anything, but I think we're very happy. We've got a wonderful community of people. Most of them are, as you say, a soloists, people working by themselves. Some also work with small groups, so that's why we kind of describe ourselves as a micro business community. But yes, it's I must say we're very happy with how we're growing, and more importantly, it's not just so much the numbers, but it's the depth of sort of engagement that we're getting, and the just the liveliness of our community. I mean, it's a wonderful group of people who are so open at sharing their knowledge with each other. It's quite incredible. So we very much view ourselves as kind of custodians of a community, if you like. We're almost, somebody in our forums likened this sort of community to being like a pub or a cafe, and whereby we, the owners of the business, we're the kind of people behind the bar. We're wiping the tables, we're making sure the music's at the right volume, we're occasionally throwing out people if they're a bit rowdy. Our job is to create the environment and to make people feel comfortable in a friendly space where they can talk and share. And yes, we present a few of our own things as well, our own content and our own ideas. But the real magic in our community comes from the members, not from us.
And I guess too, I mean, that's always chicken or the egg stuff too. When you're building a community, I mean, it's incumbent upon you, and you've got your two business partners, Sam and Peter. It's incumbent upon you in those early days to just be in there and create the content and share the love. At what point, can you remember the point where you've looked at each other and gone, seems to be getting a life of its own?
Absolutely. I mean, there's been a couple of points. I mean, the first point really was when we, because when the business started, I initially started it, and sort of being a marketing man like yourself, I used to work as a sort of freelance marketing consultant, and I used to work as part of a smallish business in the UK. We sold that business to Saatchi & Saatchi at the sort of end of the 80s, and I had the very good sense to come here and up with my now darling wife. And initially I was sort of working as a consultant, and I found that because I worked within the sort of creative industries in the UK, I tended to fall into the same sort of group here happily. You know, it was kind of working with smallish businesses, helping them get their marketing and stuff right. And then it sort of became obvious that there was a real sort of niche there. And at that time, I'd also moved into working as a coach, and coaching was just starting in Australia. So I got involved in that and trained as a coach, and got to a point where it was obvious that the people that really needed support and whom I most enjoyed working with were people working on their own. I looked around a bit and saw that, whoa, this is a massive community in Australia. You know, 70 at that time, the ABS, Australian Bureau of Statistics, they were putting it at 73% of Australian small businesses were people working by themselves. So let's say the marketer in me thought, hello, there's a niche here. You know,
did you go, hello?
I did go, hello. And I thought there's a niche here. So that's when I sort of registered Flying Solo. This was in 1999, I think it was. I can remember that far back. And then so the first sort of point was when I registered that name, I found that sort of fairly quickly resonated with people. I was very fortunate that because I'd moved into this new thing called coaching, I was fortunate that it got the attention of the media, and ABC Four Corners did a documentary on new work practices, and they
nice timing.
Coaching, and they happened to choose me as the coach, which was, you know, somewhat pleasant. So I had a camera crew in my office and with my clients and stuff, and so it's that sort of grew. You know, a number of people watched that show, and my coaching business went completely nuts. And again, largely because of this whole kind of Flying Solo focus. A publisher approached me because I'd started writing for some newspapers. And they said, hey, we like what you're writing. Do you want to write a book? And I said, yeah, sure, I want to write a book. What do you want me to call it? And they said, what about Flying Solo? And I thought, hello, yes, please. So I did that. But I was sort of struggling to get it finished because our young son had just been born. And by then I got to know Samantha. And I sort of said to Sam, hey, I've been asked to write a book, but I'm just not getting it together. Do you fancy partnering up and we'll do it together? So she said, yeah, sure. So I was a sort of old salty dog and she was the new young gun. And we sort of did the book together. And the book went really well. So that was the next thing. It's like, whoa, this is, you know, it became a bestseller, which is not terribly difficult, to be honest. But anyway.
I don't undersell it.
No, okay. Anyway, it became that was rather good. And then by then, you know, the interweb was all happening. So we thought, we better build a website or do something around, you know, something better about this. So we did that, and that's when Portal was the phrase du jour.
Oh yeah.
Far back?
I do remember that.
So Sam and I were sort of writing things and putting them on our portal, and that was the next step. It's like, wow, there's a lot of people reading this stuff. We need other people to write. And that's kind of grew and got quite a lot larger. And then we had, you know, rebuilt our site, and we're just writing lots of content and finding really good Australian contributors that were writing content for us. And then we had the good sense to invite Peter to join us, who was someone that we'd both got to know, and we knew we needed some more sort of marketing and writing help. So Peter joined us. And from a very early stage, Peter was saying, we need a discussion forum on here. And we kept saying, oh, no, we don't want to do that. That's far too hard. And then it got to the point where people were literally pushing down the door. We had a comment system on our website, and you could tell people were trying to have a conversation, but to try and do that through an article comments structure, it just doesn't work. It's very satisfying. But we didn't launch our forum. We launched that in about 2008, 2009. But we didn't do it until people were breaking down the door. So by the time we opened our forum, it immediately filled.
What do you mean by immediately filled? Like, because forums don't have a limit. So, like, but you were inundated.
Yes. Okay. Let me explain that. That's a good point. If you look around the world of online forums, you'll find an awful lot of them have got the business owners in there talking and not many other people. To try and get a forum community built and grown and active is really a challenge. Not the these days, the software, the way that you deliver it to the world, that's the easiest part. Mm-hmm. Right? That's the easy thing. We both know you can get a really schmick website, you can get a beautiful forum. That's easy. The tricky bit is getting a large number of people to visit it regularly and to be involved in deep, meaningful conversations that other people that are watching, and bear in mind that any forum has, 10 times as many people watching that are actually participating.
What do you think the trick was? Because that's significant. I mean, I reckon that is a tipping point for the Flying Solo brand, where the forum all of a sudden it was launched and it was inundated with activity, engagement in conversation. Was it just the fact that you had that slow build up of, you had the book, you had you and Sam creating articles for the portal, and there was kind of almost a pent up, how can we get some of this type feeling?
Yes, exactly. It's because of our delay, because we took so long. That was the reason I think that it succeeded. By the time we launched the forums, we had 30,000 newsletter subscribers. So we were publishing a newsletter once a week. We now do that twice a week. We didn't have 30,000. We had probably about 20,000 at that point, I think. So we had a large audience, and I think we'd done a lot of research of our audience as well. We've run a couple of fairly large, extensive research campaigns amongst our audience. So we knew what their hot buttons were. We knew the things that keep them awake at nights. We know the things that, that they are interested in, that they want to learn more about. We know that also from our articles. So we had a lot of data that we were really able to look. So when we launched our forums, again, not only were there a number of people waiting to get in, again, if you think of that sort of pub analogy, they were waiting to get in, and we designed the place nicely. We knew what the topics were. It's a little bit like the Apple Store, if you read the story about how Steve Jobs started the Apple Store, and I'm not in any way, I'm trying to us or the skills of that man, but before he opened an Apple Store, he built 2 or 3 Apple stores out there in California and rearranged everything and just rehearsed it. We sort of did an equivalent whereby by the time we opened the doors, so we knew where people wanted to go, we knew what they wanted to talk about. We had it all ready for them, and they stormed in, as opposed to what happens in a lot of forums is you might have the people that have thought about the topics and have a degree of clarity around that. But if there's not enough people, if it's like a restaurant, you take your wife out for a meal. If you walk past a restaurant and there's no one in it, you tend to keep walking. You go the one up the street where there's a little bit more atmosphere.
Yeah. It's amazing. I see that, in fact, in my local village where I live, and there's a stark example of that of 2 cafes alongside each other. One opened, within the last year. The other one's been going for a number of years, and literally one can have people lining up to get in, and the other one can have 2 people sitting in the front window. And my heart goes out to those people as to what have they done and what can they do, but it just seems like an insurmountable problem. Tell me, Robert, I want to know, you've got this Flying Solo community, you've got your 56,000 members, you have got content coming out regularly. And I've just done recently an interview with the head of the Content Marketing Institute, Joe Polizzi. He was ahead of his time. You guys were ahead of your time in the way you've gone about building the Flying Solo brand. You've got some amazing sponsors, so you're monetizing it now through sponsorship. You've got banks there, telcos, fantastic. What keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night? Not.
I'm pretty relaxed. No, it's all going well. Just seeing the money flow in, and excuse me while I just rearrange myself on the hammock.
No, it's not like that. It's not like that. Okay, what keeps me up at night?
If nothing does, say nothing does, because that's cool.
No, it's not that. But the thing is, a few years ago, and I've run my own business since 1989, and in various sort of manifestations, largely around the whole world of sort of marketing and broadly community, and pretty well always within the area of small business. And I've definitely had, as every small business does, some peaks and troughs and times of real sort of concern. But the thing with our business is, we've run this really in its current form since 2005. So we've been around for quite a while. So I feel more than ever, and I think all of us do. There's three of us as partners in the business, and we have three wonderful people who work with us. So we have Jane, who looks after our forums, is our sort of concierge. We have Jodie, who's our editor. We have Lisa, who works in sort of sub-editing, administration, and membership. So we have a wonderful group of people, and I have a deep-seated sort of feeling that we've got a viable, sustainable, valuable, not just in terms of value to us, but something that I feel that is, without sounding too sort of poncy, I do feel we're doing something that's good for our society and good for community. It feels good. And so I have such a strong, deep-seated feeling that we are doing good work and we are enjoying what we do, that I don't tend to be kept awake at nights by anything other than the usual stuff of kind of running an online business. Is working out where to next. What do we do next? How do we evolve this? How do we develop this? But it's excitement that keeps me awake, not concern.
How do you take it? It is an online business. You've tried live events, in which I spoke at one. I thought they were a fantastic event. How do you take the Flying Solo? Do you take the Flying Solo brand offline these days, or is it 100% online?
No, we do take it offline. We tend not to do the single large events at this stage because we did them and they were very good. People enjoyed themselves. They were successful. It was a good sort of business venture for us, but it took a hell of a lot of work. And it's basically one day in one city. And that just didn't feel right to us because we're a national business. We're only interested in the Australian market. It's a business for Australia, but we're for the whole of Australia. We're not just for people who can get to an event in Sydney or an event in Melbourne. So we've put the events to one side. And last year we actually did, 2012, we did a tour around the country with PayPal, which was fantastic, lovely people. And we did 10 events with them. That was great. And this year we'd love to do the same sort of thing again. But what we can't do is just off our own sort of back with our own finances, we can't just say, right, we're going on a 10 or 20 venue roadshow because it's too expensive for us to do it. Very time consuming. But I personally go out and present. I do, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 or 10 talking gigs during the course of the year to associations and conferences and organizations. So we're always out there when we can be. And boy, oh boy, we would just love to have a nice big Flying Solo truck and just travel the country and do it.
Winnebago.
Yeah, Winnebago. Exactly.
Oh, yeah, and you could when you come through, pick me up, get the mic out, do a few podcasts, be rock stars.
Absolutely. But we have, within, for example, now within our community, we have something like, I think it's 50 or 60 meetup groups that are
you do.
country, which are community generated. We just provide the facility, in other words, the online sort of means of meeting each other for small groups of solo and micro businesses to get together and work on their business and support each other. So our brand is kind of doing that.
Let me ask you about the meetups, because I did register a meetup account 3 months ago. It's on the list of things to activate. Obviously, I can't be at all of them, although the intention is that as I travel more with my speaking, I do want to meet listeners and do want to have meetups. Do you literally just facilitate it through having a meetup account, or do you provide some kind of guidance for, hey, if you want to run a flying solo meetup, here's an agenda of things to follow? How do you do it?
Yeah, well, we don't. The answer is we don't do it yet quite as fully as we should be doing it, and that's one of the things that it's on our list of projects to beef up a lot more.
I'm glad you've got a list as well, Robert.
Yeah, look, I'd be very worried if I didn't. There are so many things that we want to be doing.
Oh, yes.
We're very regimented in how we approach things, and we have a very strong sort of business plan and focus towards doing things. We always sit there and say, okay, what are our communities showing us that they want? And that's what drives us. And then if we say, okay, this is what they want, then we sit down and we work out, right, how can we do that then? And meetups is one of them. So at the moment they're working pretty well. We give a little bit of guidance, but not as much as we could and as much as we're going to. But it's a matter of just getting there and doing these things. So a lot of, at this stage, people announce a meetup within our forums. They say, hey, I'm in, St Kilda, or I'm in Paddington, or wherever I am. Anybody want to get together? And the meetup happens, and, they happen with whatever degree of success is kind of sits and suits the person that's setting it up. So,
as an online business, I'm interested to know why you stay within the borders of Australia. Why wouldn't you just open this thing up to the world, or open a flying solo up in the States or in the UK?
Yeah, look, we could do all of those things. Look, the six of us involved in the business, we live in Australia, and we love the fact that this is the country that we live in, and we go to great pains to have contributors that are local contributors in our discussion forums. We have basically a blocker that ensures that only people in there are Australian businesses. Look, people will be listening saying you're crazy, but our belief is we want to create a community where people can feel that they are speaking with others that understand the same issues in exactly the same way, that feel the same things in exactly the same way. I just think it creates for us a more genuine, a more integrated community. Mm. It's just how we feel. I
just wonder whether I kind of get it, although I don't really, because I just don't think that as a soloist, I'm going, geez, where do other Australian soloists hang out? I'm just like, where do soloists hang out? I mean, we are an unusual bunch. We have particular needs, and I'm not sure they're country specific. You'd know more though.
Well, yes. I mean, yes and no. We don't. It's not that we don't take learnings from other countries. Of course we do. And we talk, and there's lots of discussion in our forums and within our articles about innovations and software and apps and things that of course are not confined to Australia. But we just feel that it's we have, when we first started, we did have the doors quite a lot wider. But the thing particularly with something like a forums take a lot of management. It's one thing to have a lot of people in a forum, but in terms of managing it and keeping it to be a nice, friendly, focused place takes a lot of work. It's kind of more work than you would imagine. We constantly observe it. All of us are watching our forums all the time. And if you open the doors too widely, you would know there's an awful lot of spam. There's an awful lot of people around the place that are just trying to get a link out there and get their name out there. And it can very, very, very quickly disrupt and wreck an online community. It just can. And you don't have to look too far around the area of kind of business forums within Australia to find some that have just completely lost it. And to us, that's just not acceptable. We're not going to let that happen. And one of the ways that we do that is by keeping a very tight focus on our, on our reach.
Yeah, I get that. There's beauty in niche and kind of keeping it small, I suppose. And if it works financially, then it's a good idea. We're not all trying to build empires.
No, and there'd be plenty of people listening that would probably say, "Oh God, you make 10 times as much money if you open the doors wider." That's not what motivates us. That's not what we're about. We very, very pleased with how things are and how our community is, and our community seem to be pleased with it also. And I was at a conference yesterday. It's lovely to go out and back. So there's 2 or 3 people came up to me saying, "I know you. You're flying solo, aren't you?" And just get such lovely comments back about how people perceive us and how they perceive our group. And I just say I don't want to blow my own trumpet, because most of the wonderfulness that happens within flying solo is created by the members, not by us. So, but it feels good.
Robert Gerrish, co-founder of Flying Solo, thank you so much for sharing some marketing, some community, some tribal love. That's what you've done. You've built a tribe.
Pleasure, Tim. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for being on the show. Alrighty doodly. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Robert Gerrish, co-founder of Flying Solo. 3 things that I took from that. Number 1, be clear on what you stand for. Flying Solo are so clear that they represent the solopreneur in Australia, and that's it. And they focus all their energies on creating wonderful content to help that group of people. Could have gone national, could have gone international, gone into other countries, set up franchises, or maybe just opened up membership to people in other countries. They've decided not to, and they are very, very focused on building it in Australia. Good on them for that. Number 2, you can't do everything yourself. Great businesses need partners. They need joint ventures. They need assistance from outside. And as I mentioned, as in the intro to that interview, Flying Solo and Small Business Big Marketing Show have a joint venture. I encourage you to think what other joint ventures you could create in your business. The other thing Flying Solo do really well is get people to provide guest posts. They don't create all the content themselves. We've spoken about content marketing in previous episodes, and one of the things for sure is that if you try and do it all yourself, you may never do it. So the challenge is to find other like-minded individuals who can contribute content that is on brand into your business. The third thing that I got from that interview is have fun. Robert and his business partners really, really do enjoy building the Flying Solo community. Their national work in the nude day was an example of just putting a smile on the face of their brand, not taking everything so seriously. So if you're sitting there taking your business incredibly seriously, which business is, but you can also have fun at the same time. Not suggesting you have a national nude day, but go and work in nude for a day at least a week, hey? All right, enough from that. Thanks so much, Robert, for sharing those gems. Guys, upcoming episodes, Daniel Flynn from Thank You Water. There's lots of water out on those shelves. Daniel's got a very, very exciting point of difference. I've got Heather Smith, the author of Learn Small Business Startup in 7 Days. And I keep teasing you about this one, I have got Shane Tilley, email marketer extraordinaire. You've not met a bloke more excited about email marketing than Shane. And it's a hot topic. Got about 30 plus listener questions prior to that interview. We cover lots, and it's an exciting interview. So there's some of the upcoming episodes, plus a whole lot more. Guys, check out netregistry.com.au for all your online marketing needs. Go to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and check out the forum. And until next week, next Tuesday, when another episode of the Small Business Big Marketing Show will be posted in between now and then, may your marketing be absolutely fantastic marketing. Have a great week. See ya.
You've been listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show with Tim Reid. Want more marketing goodness? Then visit smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.